unharmed.
I do know who they were. I have not spoken to them. They were my sister's roommates. Obviously, I know who she lived with.
Olivia hopes someone will come forward so she can get her sister and her friends justice.
We're losing critical time, and I want more coverage. I want more done. I understand that we can't release information.
So, hardware store says police have come by asking about a specific brand of knife and if that was sold to anyone recently.
You know, it was late at night or early in the morning, so it seems likely that maybe they were sleeping.
Were they found in separate areas of the house?
That hasn't been disclosed yet.
Can you tell me, when you say that they might have been sleeping, were they found in beds?
Yes.
And so, can you tell me if there were multiple stab wounds per victim, or were these sort of, individual lethal stab wounds that may have been less in number but more in lethality?
There were multiple stab wounds, yes, on them. So, and
were there? Go ahead.
And most of them had just like one that was the lethal stab wound. Yes.
Can you describe what that one might have been?
But they were to the fatal ones were to the chest area or the upper body area.
Were there, and I only ask this because it sometimes determines what kind of a crime this was, a crime of passion, a random crime, a fight, a struggle. Was there, were any of them slashed? Were any of their necks cut? Or were these all puncture wounds?
Well, it was a pretty large knife, so it's really hard to call them puncture wounds. And they were definitely stabbings. And it has to be somebody that's pretty angry in order to...
Me right now to talk about this ongoing investigation is Ed Gavin, the former acting chief for New York Child Protective Services and retired deputy warden. Thanks so much for being with us. Police say they do not have a suspect, but they're looking for a killer. They don't have a motive. They'll only say that these people were stabbed with some type of object and that this is possibly a crime of passion. So just based on your experience, what do you take away from all of those particular details?
I think it's likely a crime of passion. I think the perpetrator was probably perhaps a spurned lover. I think the perpetrator was likely male. I think the perpetrator was confident, bold, strong, and stealthy. This individual reportedly went into that home at the early morning hours, 3 o'clock in the morning, with a sharp object. And I think he or she, but likely he, was confident that he could kill his victim. I think when you look at the composition of those living at the home, you have 3 females, 2 of whom were seniors. One was a junior. And I live here in New York City. This happens with quite often. We had a case in Queens County where a 31-year-old police officer waited for her lover to return with her new girlfriend. She shot the girlfriend, who was 23 years old, and she shot her ex-girlfriend, 23, and her new lover, age 24, with a firearm, and then shortly after confessed.
Wow.
We had another case in Queens